of health. That's right. Every week we share tips to improve, obviously, your financial health, but also your social, spiritual, intellectual, mental, and physical health. Today, this episode is focusing on how to improve your physical health regarding your gut health. If you have never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is a show built on the fundamental beliefs that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. Here at Millionaires Are Made, we are on a mission to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest, happiest millionaires in all 6 aspects of life. We believe in the method of teaching a man to fish so that they can feed themselves their knowledge for the rest of their life. So we went out and got 3 awesome guests that'll give you 3 awesome tips on how to improve your physical health regarding your gut health. In the spirit of authenticity, we don't talk about tips or knowledge in the backstage before the show. So when the guest comes out and tells you their advice, it's going to be our first time hearing it as well. Audience, this is an interactive show, so please comment and question as much as you want. We will ask your questions live on air and respond to your comments. Real quick, we're going to shout out a couple of our followers. We love doing this, and if you want to be shouted out, just follow us anywhere. On Facebook, Danny Francis, thank you so much. Instagram, Devi Movasian. TikTok, Keith Gaskin. And YouTube, Total Freedom Network. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. If you want to be a guest on our show, come and do it. We love new guests, and we believe everyone has something to share. If you have a topic, maybe you're struggling with the stock market. Maybe your car is not working well. Maybe you're feeling a little bit lonely. Social health, financial health, whatever it is. If there's something that you're struggling with, send it to us. We will go out and find 3 awesome guests, give you 3 awesome tips to help you get through that little tiny hump in life. And if you like what we do, sharing knowledge with everyone in this world, please remember to like, share, subscribe, send stars, whatever it is, wherever you're watching us. And if you like even more knowledge, I do love talking one-on-one and sharing everything I have ever learned. We're dropping the link right now for our free growth consultation, one-on-one with me. Go ahead and check that out. Would love to talk to you and see what's going on in your world. Merchandise. You guys asked for it. Now we have it. We actually just launched a brand new series of hats. So if you like merchandise, I don't even have mine yet, but I will be wearing it next week. Feel free to grab some merch and help support Millionaires Are Made. And before we get started, this show is brought to you by Brian Wright. If you want to get your brand in front of high-level entrepreneurs and personal growth leaders, reach out to Brian at the Ultimate Achievers magazine, where industry icons meet a content-first audience. That link's being dropped right now. Next, we have Sarah Jones. Fantastic, fascinating woman. Used to be buried in debt in a failing marriage. Decided to scrap everything she was doing, restart. Now has an amazing financial foundation and teaches others, couples, individuals, and small businesses to build fun, healthy money habits while traveling the U.S. in a 75-foot RV. Our next sponsor is Biz by Right. It's a matchmaking service for people who love buying and selling businesses. We find cash flowing deals, vet them with AI, and connect buyers and sellers faster than you can say due diligence. And our final sponsor for this episode is Francine Julin, a veteran turned author, inspiring families to explore mindfulness together. Her story and book spark confidence, calm, and connection for kids and parents alike. Go check her out. And that brings us to our first guest. Her name is Mallory. Mallory, who are you?
I'm Mallory. I started Lioness Proof Health Coaching, and I am very passionate about gut health and how it is the foundation for our good lives.
Foundation for our life. Okay, let's get into it. If I wanted to improve my physical health regarding my gut health, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
I would say to start educating yourself on how the standard American diet is impacting your gut specifically and make swaps to improve that. I am a huge fan of swapping out any sort of processed food for more meat. That has a huge positive impact on our gut health.
Swapping out processed food for meat. Give us examples of processed food and give us examples of meat.
So if you like to snack and you love chips or something crunchy like that, have beef jerky instead. If you want to, eat
So
eat
you're
something
vegan.
on the go. What? A
So
vegan?
you're vegan. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's
You and
funny.
Samir are actually
Yeah.
gonna align. I'm surprised. There's never anyone that aligns with Samir. All right, so
Oh
get rid of
yeah.
your chips. Do beef jerky. Give us more examples of what to swap out. What about like cereal? What do you swap out for that?
Um,
Nothing. Eggs.
Steak and eggs.
Ooh, yeah, that does sound good. All right, now that
Steak,
I'm
eggs,
hungry,
butter,
thank you,
fasting.
Mallory. Say that again.
Steak, eggs, and butter, or fasting. Fasting has a really profound impact on our gut health. We're not meant to eat all day. The fastest way you can age yourself is by eating every few hours. So if you don't know what you want to eat for breakfast and you are addicted to your sugar, just skip a meal.
Man, I feel like I'm. Are you and Samir best friends? This is going to be a great episode. All right, Mallory, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
Oh, so it's been through a couple of different books that I read. Brain Maker by Dr. David Perlmutter is a great place to start on how antibiotics and processed food is harming us as a culture. Carnivore. Oh my gosh, what is his book by Dr. Sean Baker? Really helped me.
Who wrote the
And just
Rainmaker book?
Brain Maker, Dr. David Perlmutter. Um, it's all about the gut brain connection because I have a background of really intense anxiety and depression, and I believe it stemmed from chronic antibiotic use. And so I learned a lot in his book about how to heal your gut and how to avoid getting on that cycle of chronic antibiotic use, like how to protect your gut from doctors prescribing that constantly and other ways to treat yourself. So yeah, just trial and error. And I've really come to find a way of eating that helps my gut. My anxiety and depression is pretty much gone. We all have anxiety as being humans, but it's not as intense as it used to be. And I'm able to calm myself down in a way that I never was before.
Fascinating. Awesome, Mallory. Well, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you back out in the round robin. Next up, we have Samir. Samir, tell us, who are you?
Hey, Austin. Great to be back on the show. I think most of your viewers probably know me by now. So my name's Samir. I'm a health coach. I'm also a PhD, almost like 9/10 of the way there is the rumor right now in anthropology. I also have a 20-year career working on economic justice issues, but mostly these days it's reversing chronic disease through diet and lifestyle changes.
If I wanted to improve my physical health regarding gut health, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Yeah, the advice is basically fiber is bullshit. So why do we start with that? Because we gotta you gotta understand whenever you do this, whenever you search for some kind of gut remedy, and I've helped people with serious Crohn's disease, serious like autoimmune bowel conditions, people who've had to plan their life around the toilet, and whenever they saw a doctor or a specialist before coming to me, it was all about fiber this, fiber that, increase fiber, increase fiber. We take the fiber out of their diet completely, and their disease goes away within days. And I get very, very angry because people are still, if you go on YouTube and you search what are the foods or whatever your search engine is, what are the foods that are good for my gut, you're going to get broccoli, you're going to get cauliflower, you're going to get these fiber rich foods, and it's really complete bullshit. Like there's really no there. And I challenge anyone, take the fiber out of your diet, and if you want, you can reintroduce it, see which way you feel better. But most of us feel a lot better with on a very low or no fiber diet.
So I was caught doom scrolling, and there is a big like health guy that has like 500,000 followers, something that said something about how we need fiber, and I just commented, and it was a it was a rabbit hole. I was like, I heard fiber sucks or something like that. I might have If it's still, I had like 50 replies to it. And it was like, oh man, I should have done that.
No, it's good, man. You gotta
But if you want
poke
to take
it.
on an
If you
army,
see a sleeping dragon, you have an obligation to poke it with a stick, man. That's what we teach, right?
okay, yeah, maybe I'll tag you and let you take over since you're much more well versed. All right, so Samir, where did you learn this piece of advice?
Listen, to be honest, I learned it many years ago, but let me just tell a story that I also learned because a couple of weeks ago, see, we're in winter time here in South Africa. And in the winter, a lot of us start craving the comfort foods, the carbohydrates, and so on. And I thought, man, let me just put in a couple of apples into my diet. No big deal. Like, I'll just have a couple of apples a day. What happened? I started getting pimples. Now, zits are like if you're not a teenager, if you're a teenager, there's other things going on hormonally, most likely. But once you're my age, like 40 plus, and you eat something and it's giving you a breakout, that's a sign that it's hurting your gut. Remember, the gut is basically made up of the same endothelial skin cells that you see on your face and so on. So if you look at your face and it's something weird is going on, you have a breakout or something, that's a good sign that whatever you're doing, mostly likely whatever you're eating, is not great for your gut. So I took the apples out of my diet, skin back to normal in about a couple days. So that was the lesson. Just from 2 weeks ago, I was doing this experiment.
Oh wow, 2 weeks ago, and so apples are back out.
no apples. Yeah.
I love apples. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Samir. We're going to move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you out for the round robin here. Next up, we have Ambika Devi. Ambika, tell us, who are you?
I'm Ambika Devi. I began meditating at age 6. I got into interest in diet at age 11. I experimented with many different types. I taught holistic health at the university level for 21 years. I'm currently a PhD C, which means I am writing my thesis at the moment. 13 years of research. Though I was involved in teaching holistic health, I was also trained in traditional Chinese medicine. My second book, Unfolding Happiness, is an introduction to Ayurveda. I don't believe in just one path, Austin. I think we need to understand more. When I was studying and teaching holistic health at the third place that I was at, because I taught on the East Coast of the US and also in Arizona. When I was in Arizona, I had the pleasure of studying with Peter D'Adamo, who wrote the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Now, at the time before that, when I was in an acupuncture guild and thinking I was just going on that path, what I did was I was in this huge guild. We split up in our 4 blood types because at the time, Peter only had the 4 in that first book. And I was the one in my group of type A blood that wasn't getting the, yay, I'm on a roller coaster fun ride with unicorns flying around. I didn't feel so good. But then later when I met Peter, he was then breaking the 4 blood types into 8. And what he said in that first book was there's an 18% group that may not respond to this. Well, guess what? I was in that 18% group of people that didn't secrete their antigen. And I know I'm using words that are big, but you'll just have to look them up, everybody, or message me on my website. And what I realized, because at the time it wasn't even a saliva test, it was a blood test. Who of us likes those? I don't. And I found out I'm in that 18%. Guess what? That's a ninja. They don't respond to the generalizations of eat this, don't eat that, try this, don't try that, do this because it's going to help, and then it doesn't. And so when I found that out and I started looking at his information, that helped a lot. Later, when I met Dr. Vijay Jain, who's my co-author on that book, Unfolding Happiness, with the assistance of Ayurveda, I learned about getting more heat in my digestion. We call that Agni. That's fire, the fire of digestion. So if you threw a bunch of meat at me, I can't digest it. You give me chickpeas, I can't digest it. And then what I started looking at with my clients is that maybe it's not do this, don't do that. So I started having them not just tell me their diary of what they're putting in and what they're putting out. And one of the most important of the 3 pillars of health, how are you sleeping? Are you sleeping well? It's not just what's going in and what's coming out the other end, which is very important. Don't get me wrong. But sleep is going to give you a lot of information. We can look at Oriental medicine, the TCM, and look at when are you waking up? What's going on? What's disturbing you? What are your dreams doing? How about parasites? Peter taught me everything I know about parasites. And interestingly enough, just a short time after that, National Geographic came out with an incredible issue with microscopic images. So, if we're talking about your gut, everybody, we also have to understand. Remember, I taught holistic health, I taught pathology, I taught anatomy and physiology. Your internal gut, your large intestine is the child of the skin. So that goes to one of our speakers just said about breakouts. Yes, it's hormonal. Maybe you want to eat breakfast or no. I'm not a big breakfast eater like our other guest just spoke about. But you have to understand, what's my type? Am I a mesomorph, an ectomorph? What's my hormonal type? And then what's my blood type? What's my secretor level? There's a lot going into it. A couple years ago, a friend of mine ended up in the ER, much younger than me. I'm 65 right now. And she ended up in the ER diagnosed with diabetes out of the blue and called me the next morning crying and said, "Can you help me?" And I said, "I absolutely can, but you're going to have to listen to me. We're going to have to talk every day." 6 weeks later, diabetes gone. There you go.
Okay.
There's
Awesome.
a lot in it. I love the idea of eat this, don't eat that. But you know what, people? You're cookbooking your body. You have to know you. You have to do your own research. And yes, you have to do your own experimentation. But if you need coaching and help, you have to get to the bottom of it. Where do people go wrong? Oils and fats and proteins. So chicken could make somebody with B-type blood absolutely feel like they have fevers and other diseases can show up. But chicken is good for other people. So if you're eating air fried chicken skin and you're B-type blood and a bunch of avocados, that could be causing a lot of issues. If you're A-type blood and you're carnivore, that could be causing a lot of issues. If you've never done good parasite cleansing, that is causing issues, I guarantee it.
Amika Davy. Let's hold. Let's bring everyone out. Let's talk about this in a round.
I told you I'd be the chaos coordinator.
We've got a lot to delve. We got a lot to delve into, and I'm sure Mallory and Samir, and real quick before we get down and dirty, I do want to say that I feel like everyone is super different.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive into this. Let's start with what was it you just said? I guess let's go into blood type.
Sure.
So Amika Davy just said that blood type is a big part of it. Mallory, Samir, what do you guys think about blood type and your gut health and how they may or may not be correlated?
Do you want to go, Mallory, or I can
go first?
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of data on this blood type thing. Some of it from Japan, where it was super popular. And what we found looking at the data was that it was pretty much bullshit. It didn't work out. Yes, there were people who did better on one kind of diet than another, but there was no correlation with blood type in the data set that I'm familiar with. So I'm happy to share that paper with anyone who might be interested, but that's sort of the short version. Getting back to the earlier question. So from my perspective, my PhD is in anthropology, right? So from my perspective as an anthropologist, we are all descended from a very small population of humans, maybe 70,000, maybe less, who survived the transition to the last ice age, right? So it's about 12,500 years ago. And if you look at these bottlenecks, you look at what happened to us, physically speaking, evolutionary speaking, we had to adopt certain diets in order to be able to survive, right? This is some people argue that the diet had to include fish, for example, because fish are the only real source of omega-3s, of bioavailable omega-3s, and we have so much omega-3s in the brain. I don't believe that theory, but but at least it has some coherence, right? There's something there, right? But the idea that there might be different diets for different human populations that are genetically identical, because all human populations, with one or two exceptions, Like there's more genetic variation within a given population than between populations, right? So in other words, what I'm saying is, from my perspective, it is a question worth asking, like, what is the species appropriate diet? And I'm not sure that I found it, as someone who's been studying this for a long, long time and who's helped hundreds of people reverse their chronic disease. But I think we're on the right track, right? What do I mean by on the right track? What I mean is that we can tell by looking at the collagen analysis, the nitrogen isotope analysis of the collagen of early humans, that they were all hypercarnivorous, which means that they were getting more than 70% of their food from meat, right? Now, that does not mean that we can immediately take a person who's sick and give them that 70% meat diet and they'll heal automatically. Obviously not, because you see, the way I see it is health looks the same for everybody, but sickness has a million different incarnations. And so step by step, we have to help that person to get to a point of health, right? Am I making sense here? So to the short story on the blood type diet is, I don't agree with that hypothesis. I haven't seen data that would back it up at all. And furthermore, I would go a step further and say, actually, there is, or there should be, a set of ideal human diets that are quite similar, because genetically humans are extremely similar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. I don't know. In my life, I obviously don't study or have degrees in anthropology, nutrition, or anything, but I find that people, what they grow up with, or their culture, their natural food, is what they're used to. So I kind of think that there might be different diets for different people. So for like 6 years, I dated an Austrian, and when she ate American food, she didn't feel good. But when I went to Austria, I could eat it for a couple of days, but after a week or two, I started wanting to go back to what I've been grown up with my whole life. And I've dated a Korean, and she, when she would eat American food, wouldn't be all that awesome with it. So I don't know if I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's research. Just in my personal experience, I find that more people, what they grow up with is what they it helps them longer in that. But I obviously don't know.
So I totally agree with that, Austin. But the question is, like, that might be the case because of the microbiome issue, right? Because we have the guts. There's more non-human DNA. I told you this a couple times and you freaked out. There's more non-human DNA in you than there is human DNA in you. Yeah, remember that one?
Yeah.
So the non-human DNA is going to react. Like when I was a carb addict, and I still am a recovering carb addict, right? And when I wasn't having the chocolate every day, my gut didn't like it. I was getting physical issues, physical symptoms. But does that mean that the chocolate? I think, or let me take what was my worst habit. Yeah, probably chocolate. Probably like a big thing of vegan chocolate, like it was like tofu chocolate and like a whole big slab. It was mostly sugar, and like every single day. And when I didn't eat it, I was super cranky, right? So when I was super cranky, when I was having those adjustment problems, was it the fact that I needed the chocolate? Was the fact that the chocolate was good for me? Or was it the fact that there were certain microorganisms that had learned to thrive on the chocolate and were telling me to get what they needed to thrive? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fascinating.
It's related with the parasite question too, right? Because once you change the microbiome and you get rid of the things that aren't serving you, those microorganisms that aren't serving you, then you have completely different cravings. You have completely different relationship with food and so on.
Mallory, let's talk more about, I guess kind of what they've been talking about. So I take it that you're more of a carnivore-centric person, correct?
Currently, yeah, that's mostly been my research focus in the last year and a half. When I first heard about carnivore, I thought it sounded like a crock, but it's really not. When you dive into it, when you try it yourself, it's incredible what it can do for you. I don't have a PhD in it like these two do, but I do very much agree with the validity of that space.
So have you met anyone that has done carnivore for maybe a year or two and it tore them up and made them feel terrible and they switched back?
No, I did work with a woman who was very, very sick. She had her whole life had been exposed to a lot of really terrible toxins. So her system couldn't handle it. a lot like what Samir was saying. So once she did, this is when I was health coaching for a detox program. When she did the detox, after that, she was able to do carnivore and her health improved very quickly. But she had to get the toxins out first to shift her microbiome in the direction of being able to do that without feeling more sick. Because it
So I
is a
like you
stressor on the body.
Okay, yeah, I like that you guys are mentioning the microbiome because a lot of, I mean, I've done like dozens of these shows, and a lot of the physical health people talk about how once you start eating healthier, whatever you decide that is, your body starts craving that more and more. Once you remove we all can pretty much agree that like Kellogg's cereal isn't going to be very healthy for you. So that's at least
Right.
one thing similar. Um, and so yeah, so it's kind of like that. And so it was an interesting when Samir had that point of, and you just had almost the same point when you switch your diet, your microbiome changes too with it. So that is actually super fascinating to me. We might have to do another show on just microbiome, which essentially is gut health, but a little more specific. All right,
And I think, if I may,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm a huge proponent of doing trial and error on your own. Like, do a 30-day carnivore and then add in a different fibrous, natural whole food at a time and see how your body reacts to it. Because, we are all different. And maybe, like, for me, my body thrives on carnivore and not much else. Anytime I am a carb addict. Anytime I try to have something that normal people eat,
Normal
party
people.
party gremlin turns on in my head and I can't stop eating. Like, anyways. So I know that about myself now. So it's really important. We can all agree that the standard American diet is not good. So playing around with what foods are best for your body specifically is a really great place to start.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna switch gears. Yeah, guys. I mean, Samir's been telling me to stop eating vegetables and carbs forever. And I'm not a big carb guy, but I do love my veggies, and I do love my raw spinach. So maybe I'll die soon. We'll find out. But let's switch. I'm a
May
good
I
Davey.
comment? I'd like to
Yeah.
give a
I
little
was
bit
gonna
of
bring
feedback.
something to you real quick. Let me leeway my question into you, and then we'll let you respond to that too. So you were talking about how different blood types are different diets and different people's DNA. So there's a doctor, Dr. Eric Braverman. I don't know if anyone's heard of him, and he does a lot of research on how diet affects your brain and your brain health, and how there's different people have different deficiencies in neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, et cetera, et cetera. And so he did a lot of research. I think he's based in New York. And so I've read a book, maybe two of his books, about how diet, among other things, obviously environment and stuff, affects your brain chemistry. And his argument is similar to that, where different brains are built differently. Some people have serotonin deficiencies, some people have acetylcholine surpluses, and how you can use your diet to actually help you regulate your brain. So that being said, the floor is now yours, Ambika Devi.
Let me back up just a little bit. Yes, genetics are an important part, but when we're talking about it, and we're saying the word gut or the words gut biome, we're talking about bacteria. And if I'm in a different country, uh, this happened to me. I live in the US. I eat some yogurt. I like yogurt. I go down to Mexico to teach and I eat yogurt and it gives me a different sensation in digestion. That's bacterias. The cows are eating something different. The milk is different. The bacterias that are creating the yogurt are different. And then when we're talking about removal or experimentation, let's think back to what the barefoot doctors, you may not know what that term is, but I was first trained by somebody with a little black bag that came to the house. And that was how doctoring was done. We have to go back even further and realize that doctors originally were the pharmacists, but that's another show for us. And what I want you to think about is those barefoot doctors, if a baby was ill, they would say, if that baby was no longer nursing and was being introduced to food, they would say, do the 5 rule. Take your meals down to just 5 ingredients. That counts whatever oil, whatever spice. That's it. And that's the formula for how you experiment. You don't just throw the carbs out and put a big steak in your face. You take it down with consciousness. And look, I want you to understand, I'm not just saying blood type is the end. I don't think we as a human group have defined what's going to work for everybody, because I don't think everybody is what each of us is. I'm saying we are fragmented bits. And in order to solve this for any individual, we have to look at the individual. And if what you are feeling is not optimal, then the first place we have to understand is your kitchen, because I believe everything you need to heal and feel great is in your kitchen. And if it's not, that's what we need to talk about. As far as sugary corn cereals, here's an example. If we are looking, and I am going back to the blood type thing, and we're looking at secretor, non-secretor, so we've got 8 groups, right? The only group out of that, A-type blood secretors, are the only ones meant to eat corn. Why did the Maya eat corn? Why did the Inca eat corn? Why is the corn different in South America when I eat it than if I eat it here? I can't digest it. But I used to take groups to South America for healing, for plant ceremonies where it's legal, and drinking huachuma. And the thing is, when I was down there, there was a purple corn drink, and I'm not an A secretor, I'm an A non-secretor. But I could drink that drink made from purple corn, from heirloom corn, and it was okay on me. Okay, that's just a tiny example. But remember, I've got a background in TCM, and my PhD research is in using the voice as medicine and then backing it up with ancient Sanskrit writing and comparing it to the more modern neuroscience. Yeah, I could go on all day about food, but really it's the mind.
Ooh, okay. I'm into that. All right, Ambika, you mentioned, I think it was Peter. Peter created the
Dotamo.
blood types. What was his last name?
His father and his grandfather. He took on the research. Peter.
What was the name?
D'_ADAMO. It looks like it would be pronounced Diadamo, but it's pronounced by Peter Dotamo.
Yeah.
And like I say, the first brilliant thing I learned from him was walking into a classroom, seeing a big screen. Okay. And mind you, back then, big screens were a big deal because we didn't have them in our homes. We had giant boxes that were called TVs. And I saw on this big screen the picture of a tapeworm, and I was speechless. I think I stopped breathing for a good 90 seconds. And I did have parasite issues. I saw a parasite specialist who got rid of parasites in little children who were eating dirt in Africa, because no matter what I was trying, I couldn't do it. I worked with a doctor who taught me dark scanning and about electronic equipment that I can't even mention the name of anymore in these live streams, because I don't want to get chased around and dragged down. And that's why I'm working with the mind now. That's why I don't have the health shingle up as the only thing, but I do have a free course on my site that you can go watch. I'm not trying to sell you anything, so you can make better choices. I'm not telling you eat this, don't eat that. I'm teaching you about hormones. I'm teaching you about the 6 tastes in Ayurveda, which will give you satiety. Why you're craving stuff is because you're not satisfied. And why you're not satisfied is irritating your thoughts and making you run around in the store like a hungry person, grabbing the wrong thing and stuffing a big wad of potato chips in your face.
Awesome. All right. Anyone have anything last minute before we go to our daily challenge?
I was going to transition us there if you don't mind.
I want to just honor you too. You know, there are people that have a lot of gut digestion fire. They have a lot of Agni. They're very pitta, which is fire and water. They can move this stuff through with prana, which is the energy that moves around. And they can be carnivores, but not everybody can.
Okay,
And
Samir,
that's
what
the
did you have
biggest
to say?
slice of society.
Yeah,
You know,
listen,
so that's
I think Ambika and I need to have a longer, like maybe 5 hour academic podcast at some point. But this is not the place for it.
no.
Let's transition us to, I think one thing that I think I'm going to propose that I think we could all agree for the tip is, can we come up with a tip that would help people to be more mindful when they eat? So
Yes.
I think it's like a 3-step process. So one, before you think you want to eat something, before you prepare a meal or a snack or something, especially a snack, ask yourself, are you really hungry? All right.
Okay.
Are you really hungry, or is it something else? Step one. Step two, if you're really hungry, I would say include some protein, however you want to define that. In we can see if Ambika pushes back on that. Include some protein on your plate. Yeah. And step three, can you try and make an effort to eat without the phone, without a screen, and to eat
Okay.
at half the speed that you normally would? So maybe that's
Half
something like
the
a
speed.
three-step process.
Okay, fuck you. That's tough. Okay, we can do that. That's easy enough.
I got this.
You guys should know
Put
that
me in.
Austin walks the talk. He never agrees to do something that he will not do for the next week. So he really walks the talk.
Yeah, we'll see how this works out. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add to our daily challenge? So we got.
I'm good with that
essentially-
challenge. I love
Yeah,
the
I think that's a good one.
steps.
I think that's
I'd like
good.
to just elaborate on the steps or give another version.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's smart because we're focusing on gut health and physical health. So obviously, there's a lot of different schools, and I don't know if we'll ever find out what's real, but as long as people are thinking and researching, I think getting the mind working is the key thing. So I like eating half the speed, always smart, and maybe even stopping when you're 80% full, like the Japanese have told us. But I like that question. Are you hungry? Are you bored? Why are you snacking? Are you
Can I add something?
avoiding a decision or avoiding a task? Yeah, yes, go ahead, Ade.
I would say if you can't pronounce, read the ingredients. And if you can't pronounce it, you can't picture where it came from on the earth. If it did not, walk, swim, grow, don't eat it. If it came from a lab, don't eat it.
There's a
It's
lot of
ruining
healthy stuff that you can't pronounce the names of.
Give me one. Okay, if you
L-glutamine.
can't pronounce it and it sounds like it came from a chemistry textbook.
Chemistry textbook. I mean, you may want to do some research on some things, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that I can't pronounce at least.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one too. It's all good.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, I mean, I guess let's just at least read the ingredient list. How does that sound? So if there's something in there you can't pronounce, you look it up and see if it's good or bad. But I mean, reading ingredients is huge. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good start on education. Why am I eating? Eating slower, and then read ingredients and see what I'm eating. Why am I eating and what am I eating? Fantastic. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we've got our daily challenge, and that means it is time to end the show. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and we will wrap it up. Huge shout out to our guests for way too much information on gut health. We'll have to watch
I
this
just
like
wanted
10
to
more
add
times.
one little thing, Austin.
Okay.
One little thing.
All right.
Yes. Ask yourself if you're hungry. But then if you are already thinking about what you know isn't good, what you can't pronounce, don't start with just throwing everything out. Just make a pact with yourself to get rid of things with preservatives and gums in them. That's a really good first step. Like guar gum, that's a thickener. You might be going for some kind of vegan milk and it's got guar gum in it. That is no good for you. You cannot digest that. That's like eating chewing gum. Do you get me? And then if you know that you're in a bad mood and digestion is going to be affected, then drink water. And don't drink cold water, drink room temperature water. And if you're ill and having symptoms, warm it up. It doesn't have to be as hot as tea, but you would be surprised because your cells are going to accept the water better when it's warm. Ice is going to freeze up your digestion. So the third thing for that challenge is to be grateful. There's something to all of these world organizations that say make a prayer. I'm going to use that word. But if you have gratitude, not just to the fact that you've got a plate of food, but think about it. So many people don't have a plate of food and they don't have clean water to bathe in and drink. I challenge you with your next glass of water, hopefully filtered, because there's no clean water coming out of any spigot anymore, that you take a moment and say, please forgive me to the water. Like we've heard from that this changes the words. I love you, water. Thank you, water. I dare you, take a sip before and after and tell me it's not sweeter.
All right. Thank you for your last thoughts, Ambika Devi. We are going to roll out and wrap this up. Huge shout out to our guests. And huge shout out to you for watching. Hopefully you learned something about gut health. Obviously, there's a few different schools of thoughts. We got a daily challenge, which the first thing is when you eat, ask yourself if you are hungry, or maybe you're eating out of boredom or avoiding a task or a tough decision or stress eating. Lots of different ways. Let's focus on if we are eating when we are hungry. Second thing is put away the screen. Don't be on your phone when you're eating, and eat at half the speed and just focus and enjoy the meal, which is actually a fascinating challenge. And finally, let's look at the ingredients. Check them out, see what they are, and see if